This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. Today's video is brought to you by Shaker and Spoon. Before me, I have a whole bunch of papers, and I am armed with my Sharpie, and I have been running a Sharpie. I guess it is a Sharpie brand, but it's a highlighter. And all morning, I have been going through this 192-page court-filed document from Dominion against Fox News. It was filed in the Superior Court of the state of Delaware, U.S. Voting Incorporated versus plaintiffs, Fox News Network. And this is Dominion's brief in support of its motion for summary judgment of liability of the Fox News Corporation, LLC, and Fox News Network. This is in regards to the defamation case that's been brought against Fox News by Dominion Voting because of the lies and the conspiracies surrounding the 2020 election. And what I'm going to lay out for you is crazy. It is proof positive that Fox knew Donald Trump lost. Fox News as a corporation knew, Fox News as an entity and their disparate number of dum-dum anchors, they all knew. The word crazy was mentioned like 92 times or something. So some crazy number. And I'm going to start with this particular quote, and then I'm going to kind of lay the roadmap out here. And I'm going to read to you from an email or a summary of an email of a woman who really started the conspiracy theory that Sidney Powell was on Fox News day after day after day after day, segment after segment after segment, and she believed she was a ghost. Not Sidney Powell. The woman who sent the email believed she herself was a It's bizarre that Fox News continued to run with this lie. But before we do this, though, I want to read one particular comment from a Fox News, the managing editor, senior vice president and managing editor of the Washington, D.C. Bureau, Bill Salmon from Fox News. He said this: "It's remarkable how weak ratings make good journalists do bad things." And this is in the document here. I'm going to link to this below. It's a giant, massive thing. If you want to read it, I would encourage you to do so, but it'll be in the link in the description. This encapsulates that weak ratings will make good journalists do bad things. This encapsulates everything you're getting ready to hear, because this document lays out the chase for ratings, the chase to recapture Newsmax audience. It's remarkable. Seriously, you need to read this. Download the PDF and just do word searches. It's remarkable. Before I get to it, though, even getting to Donald Trump or Tucker Carlson calling Donald Trump a demonic force, a word from today's sponsor, Shaker and Spoon. If you don't already know this about me, or somehow you can't tell, I love a good recipe. I'm constantly in the kitchen whipping up dinner or mixing drinks. A common challenge, though, can be ingredients. Supply chain issues certainly haven't made sourcing Candy Caps root beer syrup any easier. And does your corner grocery store carry grape fennel seed cordial? Probably not. Here to deliver exactly what you need for a good time is Shaker and Spoon. Shaker and Spoon is a monthly cocktail subscription box that brings the craft cocktail experience right to your door. Each box includes 3 exclusive, delicious recipes developed by top-notch bartenders and enough ingredients to make 12 cocktails. And since each box is themed around one type of liquor, just one bottle will make all dozen drinks. Thrift for the thirsty. Just scan this QR code or head to shakerandspoon.com/Dollemore to receive $20 off your first box right now. With Shaker and Spoon, you can now make seriously fancy-ass drinks at home and make them with ease. Their simple instructions will introduce you to some wild new flavor combinations and maybe a technique or two for making high-end cocktails. We loved our Rise and Fall box. The Creole Sling cocktail was incredible because of the cinnamon and vanilla infused maple syrup. Oh, and don't worry, Shaker and Spoon includes how-to videos as well for those recipe-resistant folks out there. Up the ante on that poker night you host, either virtually or in person, or boost your next barbecue. Just click the link below or go to shakerandspoon.com/Dollemore to receive $20 off your first box. With Shaker and Spoon, you'll never have to scramble to find rosemary, thyme, hydrosol, whatever that is, ever again. Stir up your gatherings with Shaker and Spoon. All right, let me give you just a little taste of what's to come here. This is in the introduction part. Sidney Powell is lying, Tucker Carlson to his producer, Alex Pfeiffer. Sidney Powell is a bit nuts, but she is. Laura Ingraham to Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity in a text thread. Really crazy stuff, Rupert Murdoch. 71 million voters will never accept Biden. This process is to destroy, this process meaning delegitimizing the election, calling into question the results of the election. This is a text to Maria Bartiromo from Steve Bannon. 71 million voters will never accept Biden. This process is to destroy his presidency before it even starts, if it even starts. We either close on Trump's victory or delegitimize Biden. The plan. That's the plan. A premeditated conspiracy to undermine or stop Biden from becoming president, even though they knew Donald Trump lost. That was Steve Bannon to Maria Bartiromo. I believe her show is on Fox Business. It's dangerously insane, these conspiracy theories. Lucas Tomlinson to Brett Baer, Fox chief political correspondent. Incorrect and not evidence of widespread fraud. Fox internal fact checks regarding the Dominion allegations. The whole narrative that Sidney Powell was pushing, I did not believe it for 1 second. Sean Hannity. No reasonable person, this is the last one, no reasonable person would have thought that. Fox political editor, Chris Stirewalt, who they ended up firing, by the way. This just gives you a taste of what was in the minds of these individual Fox News employees, anchors, people who are putting conspiracy theorists on the air. This document lines out exactly what the motivation was. It was trying to chase ratings that were dissolving before their eyes, viewership that was fleeing to Newsmax and OAN, and they were desperate. They were desperate for ratings, so they chased the lie, even in a situation that was damaging to the country and our very democracy. From the document here, this is page 34, if you're following along. Meanwhile, Fox continued to broadcast its lies about Dominion as it nervously eyed Newsmax. In a November 16 email, Rupert Murdoch told Suzanne Scott, executive vice president, to read a Wall Street Journal piece about Newsmax, telling her, quote, "These people should be watched, if skeptically. Trump will concede eventually, and we should concentrate on Georgia, helping any way we can." Not reporting on, not doing journalism like is their claim that they're fair and balanced and America's choice for news. They're going to help Donald Trump any way we can. Rupert Murdoch. We don't want to antagonize Trump further, but Giuliani, taken with a large grain of salt, everything at stake here. This is a damning account here, taken from, I'm assuming, Discovery and Dominion getting a hold of internal communications. Tucker Carlson told his producer, Alex Pfeiffer, that night, Sidney Powell is lying. Fucking bitch, he called her. By November 18th, Carlson told Ingram, Sidney Powell is lying, by the way. I caught her. It's insane. Ingram responded, Sidney is a complete nut. No one will work with her. Ditto with Rudy Giuliani. Carlson replied, it's unbelievably offensive to me. Our viewers are good people and they believe it. And today, to this day, Tucker Carlson continues to color the election in skeptical eyes, acting as though it's not a done deal, it's not a sure thing that Biden won, calling into question the legitimacy of our democracy. Yet in private, to his colleagues, it's, she's crazy, this is all nuts, our viewers deserve better. Viewers are watching less Fox News and suggested fixes to the problem. Do not give viewers a reason to turn us off. Every topic and guest must perform, and no unforced errors. In content example, abruptly turning away from a Trump campaign conference, on November 19th, Fox broadcast the entirety of a crazy press conference where Giuliani and Powell spewed lies about Dominion. I'm assuming this is the press conference where he was dripping his hair dye down his face. And this is a Fox News reporter got chastised for pushing back and fact-checking on a Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell conspiracy theory. Rupert Murdoch email, this is subject, watching Giuliani, really crazy stuff and damaging. But while Fox did not cut away at the time, then White House correspondent Kristen Fisher did fact-check the claims made by Powell and Giuliani. Fox's executives were not pleased. Fisher received a call from her boss, Brian Boughton, immediately after, in which he emphasized that higher-ups at Fox News were also unhappy with it, it being her fact-checking Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani. And that Fisher needed to do a better job of, this is a quote, respecting our audience. So presenting the evidence, presenting facts, fact-checking lies was disrespectful to the audience at Fox News. Remarkable. Moving on here. This is where Tucker Carlson calls Donald Trump a demonic force. Late on January 6th, Carlson, this is the day of the insurrection. Late on January 6th, Carlson texted with Pfeiffer, his producer, that Trump is a demonic force, a destroyer. Quote, a demonic force, a destroyer, but he's not going to destroy us, end quote. On January 26th, Carlson invited his leading sponsor, Mike Lindell, on his show. Keep that in mind. The leading sponsor of Tucker Carlson tonight was Mike Lindell. They knew what he was pushing, and they invited him on because he was the leading sponsor. Where Lindell spouted these same conspiracies on air after previewing them with Carlson's staff during a pre-interview. They knew what he was going to say. This is how oftentimes these late night shows and these infotainment type shows, they do a pre-interview with producers to get an idea of what's going to go down, what's going to be said, what the topic at hand is. Privately, Fox hosts and executives knew that Donald Trump lost the election and that he needed to concede, but Fox viewers heard a different story repeatedly. On January 5th, Rupert Murdoch told Suzanne Scott, it's been suggested our primetime three, meaning Hannity, Ingram, and Tucker Carlson, should independently or together say something like the election is over and Joe Biden won, and that such a statement would go a long way to stop the Trump myth that the election was stolen. Rupert Murdoch to Suzanne Scott, this was not done. And then before we get to the I'm a ghost lady who created this entire conspiracy theory that was run with by Sidney Powell to Fox News and Maria Bartiromo, who had her on how many times, and the other goof, Lou Dobbs, Rupert Murdoch to Suzanne Scott, getting creamed by CNN. Guess our viewers don't want to watch it. And reality has begun to set in. Fox Senior Vice President for Corporate Communications, Irina Briganti, wrote on the evening of November 7th, our viewers left this week after Arizona, meaning after Fox News called the election for Joe Biden in Arizona. Carlson also texted his producer, "Do the executives understand how much credibility and trust we've lost with our audience? We're playing for fire. We're playing with fire for real. An alternative like Newsmax could be devastating to us." Carlson agreed. This was all about ratings. This was all about viewership. This was all about advertising dollars for Fox News. It wasn't out of duty to the country or patriotism or flag waving like they constantly act like. They don't care about that. They knew the election was not stolen. They didn't learn it after the fact. They knew in the moment that the election was legitimate. They knew in the moment, and they still lied. Now, this, maybe I should have talked about this up front, but this is bananas to me. This is about a wild, someone who is unhinged and detached from reality, emailed Sidney Powell a theory in it with a bunch of other nutty stuff about being a ghost and all kinds of things. And they took the email seriously and ran with the conspiracy theories, never telling the audience what the source of the theory was. Enter Maria Bartiromo. On Sunday, November 8th, Bartiromo hosted Sidney Powell on Sunday Morning Futures, where Powell claimed that Dominion Software had an algorithm used as part of a massive, quote, massive and coordinated effort to steal this election from Trump. Bartiromo told Powell, "I know that there were voting irregularities. Tell me about it." Bartiromo knew Powell would respond with conspiracy theories about Dominion. On November 7th, Bartiromo had interviewed Powell. What was the evidence for these far-fetched claims that Powell sent to Bartiromo that day before the broadcast? An email entitled "Election Fraud Info." Powell had reviewed from a source, quote unquote, which the author herself described as, quote unquote, pretty wackadoodle. This email, also received by Dobbs, alleged Dominion was the one common thread in the voting irregularities in a number of states. In addition to promoting lies about Dominion, the sender claimed that Justice Scalia was purposefully killed at the annual Bohemian Grove camp during a week-long human hunting expedition, and that former Fox News CEO Roger Ailes, who died in 2017, and Rupert Murdoch secretly huddle most days to determine how best to portray Mr. Trump as badly as possible. The author continued, "Who am I, and how do I know all of this? I've had the strangest dreams since I was a little girl. I was internally decapitated, and yet I live. The wind tells me I'm a ghost, but I don't believe it." The full force of the email's lunacy comes across by reading it in its entirety. Bartiromo agreed at her deposition that this email was nonsense and inherently unreliable. Yet, Bartiromo and Lou Dobbs, never reported on the existence of this email, nor did Bartiromo tell her viewers about the source of Powell's claims or that Trump's own senior advisor and son-in-law rejected the allegations as conspiracy theories. While the claims were laughable on their face, Bartiromo gave them credibility. As Tucker Carlson texted that night, this software shit is absurd. Half our viewers have seen the Maria clip. This is devastating to the Fox News case, to their position that they did not defame or damage the business of Dominion voting systems. But it also is damaging to this is great that we're getting to disinfect this with sunlight, that we're all getting to witness the abject disrespect for not only the viewers, but also the country and our democracy. That they knew that it was all lies. All of it was lies. And the Sidney Powell conspiracy theories specifically were predicated and hoisted upon the American people and the zeitgeist by a woman who believes that the wind tells her she's a ghost, But I don't believe that. I'm not a ghost. I know the wind says it, but that's not true. What are we going to do when the conspiracy theory that was constructed by Donald Trump, predicated by Donald Trump, promoted by his emissaries, including Fox News, convinced millions, tens of millions of Americans that the election was rigged? All of it made up out of whole cloth. In advance, Donald Trump was talking, if I lose, it was because it was rigged before the election even took place. And they jumped on board for money's sake, for profit's sake, for power's sake. The masturbatory patriotism on display from conservatives and Republicans and Donald Trump and Fox News is disgraceful. I haven't gotten all the way through this document. I'm going to continue to read through. It is something to behold. It's the nuttiest thing I've read and the most damning document I've read in a long time. And I would encourage you to go through it. Again, I will put a link to it. It'll be at the bottom of the description. Go check it out. In the meantime, if you have thoughts, if you have questions, if you have concerns, I'd love to hear from you. We can mix it up in the comments, or you can call and leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. If you appreciate what I do, the steadfast nature with which I do my job, if you want to support the program and help produce what I do here, you can click the join button, become a channel member, or even better, you can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. Both those are great ways to help support what we do right here on the show and on the podcast. Both. It's all under one umbrella. Follow me on social media. I'd love to see you there. And I guess I'll see you next time. Whatever that might be. Maybe I'm the ghost. Maybe the wind tells me that I'm a ghost. I will see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.